Imagine the ultimate showdown. 450 professional religious experts on one side, one guy with a beard on the other. The challenge? Get your God to send fire from heaven. Winner takes all. Welcome to the most epic battle in biblical history. Elijah versus 450 prophets of Baal. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go well for the 450. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me tell you how we got to this divine face-off. Picture this. Israel is in the middle of a 3.5-year drought. No rain, no crops. People are getting pretty hangry. And who's in charge during this mess? King Ahab. Basically the worst king Israel ever had. This guy made worshiping false gods trendy again. Specifically, a god called Baal, who was supposedly the god of storms and fertility. Ironic, considering there hadn't been a drop of rain in years. Now, the drought wasn't random. God had sent his prophet Elijah to tell Ahab, hey, since you're worshiping fake gods, I'm shutting off the rain until further notice. And God meant business. After 3 years of this, Elijah shows up to Ahab with a proposal. He's like, let's settle this once and for all. Get all 450 of your Baal prophets. We're going to Mount Carmel for a little contest. The rules were simple. Both sides build an altar, put a sacrifice on it, but don't light the fire. Then they pray to their God to send fire from heaven. Whoever's God actually shows up wins. The people of Israel would worship the real God. Ahab probably thought, 450 of my guys versus one old prophet? This'll be easy. Oh, Ahab, you sweet, clueless king. So there they are on Mount Carmel. Picture a massive crowd gathering. This was probably the biggest event since sliced bread was invented, which, fun fact, wouldn't happen for another few thousand years. The prophets of Baal go first. They build their altar, arrange their sacrifice, and start praying. "O Baal, answer us," they shout. They're confident. They've got numbers. What could go wrong? Everything. Hour 1. Baal, fire, please. Hour 2. Baal, you there? Hour 3. Maybe he's taking a nap? But wait, it gets better. These guys start dancing around the altar. Not like a nice church hymn dance. We're talking full-on interpretive dance moves. They're leaping, they're twirling, they're probably doing the ancient equivalent of the Macarena. Still no fire. By noon, Elijah can't help himself. He starts providing commentary. Maybe shout louder, he suggests. Maybe Baal is busy, or traveling, or sleeping. This is biblical trash talk, people. Elijah is basically saying, your God might be stuck in traffic, guys. So the prophets of Baal crank it up to 11. They start cutting themselves with swords and spears until they're bleeding, thinking this will get Baal's attention. They're prophesying frantically, dancing harder, shouting louder. This goes on until evening. That's roughly 6 to 8 hours of increasingly desperate attempts to get their God to light a simple fire. But here's the thing about fake gods. They're really, really bad at responding to prayer, mainly because they don't exist. The crowd is probably thinking, this is awkward. Should we leave? Should we bring snacks? Meanwhile, Elijah's just chilling, probably working on his tan. Finally, evening comes. It's Elijah's turn. The crowd perks up. Surely this will be just as entertaining, right? Wrong. Elijah doesn't mess around. First, he rebuilds God's altar that had been torn down. He uses 12 stones, representing the 12 tribes of Israel. He's making a statement. We're going back to the real God. Then, he arranges the wood and cuts up the sacrifice. Standard stuff. But here's where it gets interesting. Elijah says, fill 4 large jars with water and pour it on the offering and the wood. The people are like, water? Dude, we're trying to start a fire here. Do it again, says Elijah. They pour more water. One more time. At this point, the altar is absolutely soaked. Water is running all around it, filling the trench Elijah dug around the altar. This isn't just making things harder. This is making things seemingly impossible. Remember, they're in a 3-year drought. Water is precious, and Elijah just used it to create the world's most waterlogged altar. Then Elijah prays. Not for hours, not with dancing, not with self-harm. He just prays. One simple prayer. Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. That's it. Maybe 30 seconds. Immediately, not after hours of waiting, not after more dancing, immediately fire falls from heaven. And this isn't just a little flame. This fire is so intense, it burns up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the soil, and even licks up all the water in the trench. The entire altar gets completely incinerated. The crowd's reaction? They fall on their faces and shout, "The Lord, He is God." The Lord, He is God. It was the ancient world's ultimate mic drop moment. Then Elijah tells the people to seize all the prophets of Baal. Don't let even one escape. Following God's law about false prophets who led Israel astray, they're all executed down at the Kishon Valley. This wasn't just about winning a contest. It was about removing those who had been leading God's people into worship of false gods. Then, for the first time in 3.5 years, Elijah tells Ahab, "Go eat and drink, because I hear the sound of heavy rain." Sure enough, the sky grows black with clouds, the wind picks up, and heavy rain starts pouring down. Drought officially over. So what's the point of this story? It's pretty simple, really. When you trust in the real God instead of fake substitutes, He shows up. He proves His power. He keeps His promises. The prophets of Baal had enthusiasm, numbers, and dedication, but they were praying to something that couldn't hear them, couldn't help them, and couldn't even light a match, let alone send fire from heaven. Elijah had something better. He had faith in the God who actually exists and actually cares about His people. The people of Israel learned that day that there's a big difference between religious activity and the relationship with the real God. But Elijah's adventures weren't over. Next time, we'll see what happens when Queen Jezebel finds out about her prophets getting defeated, and Elijah goes from victory to running for his life faster than you can say death threat. Trust me, you won't want to miss that story.